All right, welcome to the podcast today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that makes my blood boil. Man, there's not much in marketing that makes me angrier or gets me more upset than the topic we're going to talk about today because it wastes so much time. It costs money. It decreases productivity. It makes the goods and services that we buy more expensive because it costs everybody more money. And I'll say, because of all of this, it gives what we do a little bit of an advantage. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's worth the price we pay, but let's get into it and talk about it.
I have a love-hate relationship with marketing. Really? I've got to do what? All I want to do is farm.
Welcome to the SI Farmer Podcast. If you want to market your farm-based business, or craft food business directly to the consumer, this is the place for you. Welcome to the show. Spam, spoofing, phishing, robocalls. Hi, I'm calling from the car warranty department. Man, does this make you mad? Good Lord, it makes me mad. I want to throw my phone across the field when I get one of those calls. Hi, your Google listing is out of date. Really? 10 calls a day to tell me that? You got to be kidding me. But the real bad part of it is it costs a lot of money, not to do it, to deal with it. It costs companies money because, as an example, one of the best examples is rough estimate done by scholarly, smart people who have taken the time to study this. Almost 50% of all email sent globally is spam. I mean, that's crazy. I know I deal with a lot of email. I get about 1,200 emails a day on average. Some days more, some days less. And it is crazy because most of them, more than half in my case, I've had the same email address for several decades. More than half of my email is spam. And just a quick story of how it just almost cost me a fortune, well, to me, a lot of money, was I get all of these emails, and on any given day, I get, like I said, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 emails in a day. And I've developed a pretty efficient way to sort through them and all this. But I had a client who sent me an email needing something in an emergency. They were dealing with a family tragedy, and they needed something from me really, really quickly. And if you ever work with me, man, you ask me for something, I try to make that the top priority. But this person sent me an email asking for this, but they sent it from an email address that I had never seen before. Sent it from a personal email address, not from their typical work email address. I didn't see it. This person was desperate because I was one of the only people that she knew that could solve the problem. And man, I missed it because I have to deal with 1,200 others. I mean, if you spend, 2 seconds dealing with each email that comes in, you get 1,000 emails. That's 2,000 seconds. Do the math on that. That's real minutes. Adds up to, a lot of time every day. So, it costs us money. And companies, when you imagine putting that over a company that has 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees, 50,000 employees, costs money in productivity, in actual money, because you have to have smart people managing the IT infrastructure so that it all works. But it's crazy. And it costs us real money because it raises the cost of the goods we buy, because the companies take, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that companies don't like to lose money. That's usually a bad thing. I guess they don't farm. But companies don't like to lose money. So what they do is they take all their costs in a year and divide that up by how much money they need to make, put their profit on top, and that's what the product costs. They don't give us much of a say in it. Think about companies, huge companies, Coca-Cola's and the UPS's and the FedEx's and these companies that they have costs. And this is one of their costs, and it's a significant one. I think it ties into the kind of the overall topic today, which is I call it marketing shouldn't be a 4-letter word, but it is. I mean, the kind of words that when I was a kid we get our mouth washed out with soap for saying. Marketing has become that way because of all of the spams and the spoofing and the robocalls. Geez, in 2021, this is an interesting stat. 228 million robocalls were made every day. I mean, think about how that adds up. I mean, that's billions of robocalls a year. Every time you answer the phone. Cost you 30 seconds by the time you get it out of your pocket and you answer the phone and you do this. Man, that's 30 seconds. Well, imagine how much when you add that up over a year, how much time did that waste you that you could have done something else? Could have spent time with your family, could have been at a ball game, could have. And, it just is bad. It makes what we do harder. I think what's interesting when we look at the evil side of marketing, I'll call it the dark side of marketing, the sad thing is it works. You can say a lot of things about the people behind this type of marketing. You can say a lot of things about them. Stupid isn't one of them. Doesn't cost them much money to send out 10 million emails. If they get 0.1% return, they make money. And that's how these things work in that spam email. And you hear, I see people saying that email still works and should be building a mailing list for your farm. And that's true. Don't get me wrong. It's true, but we have to understand when, why, how to do it the right way so that we don't become part of this. Last thing we want to do is have people, detest us and our business because we have become part of we've gone to the dark side of marketing. Marketing is supposed to be, and the reason that I sort of gravitated to it from, as my career started out, I sort of gravitated to that is because it's supposed to be helping companies put the right product or service in front of the right people who need or want that service at the time and place that they need or want it. That's marketing. I mean, it has the power to help companies. It has the power to help real people by doing a job. But when we get to the point that we are trying to, as a farm, when we're trying to market our farm and sell, whatever our product is, we have to cut through so much. In the marketing terms, we call it clutter. I mean, when you think about how much media you consume in a day, you watch a few YouTube videos, maybe you watch a little TV at night, maybe you catch a movie on the weekend, you listen to the radio in the car, you're driving down the road and you're seeing billboards and you're seeing all this. Well, the overall impact of that is pretty simple. Our brains are wired to tune things out. Brains are hardwired to do that. Brains are hardwired to tune out the extraneous noise and focus on the things that we have to do. And we do it. We tune so much out. To give you an idea, this is an interesting stat, and I've read this stat many times, but this one's interesting. So in the 1970s, this goes back just a few years, But in the 1970s, on average, and this was a research study, and this is just think about this. We saw between 500 and 1,600 ads per day. And I think they called it, ads per day. Now, you think about what that means. Not only is it a television ad, a radio ad, a billboard, but it's also branding messages on our shopping cart and branding messages when we walk down the grocery aisle or in the newspaper when we read the newspaper or see a magazine. There's ads on every page, the classified ads. We're exposed to that many ads a day, and that was in the 1970s. And even then, we understood media had the power to influence us and impact the way we think, especially as young kids. It has a power. Well, now think what it must be like to be a kid today. Now, here's the stats. That was in 1970. Here we are in 2020. Well, we're in 2022 right now. But today, on average, 4 to 10,000 ads per day. Can you imagine the psychological impact on a child growing up in this? It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to be a parent today. It's tough to be a kid today. Our brains are hardwired to ignore things, and the dark side of marketing, they figure out how to cut through that clutter. How do we make our ads, our marketing stand out? And this is important for farmers because we have to market our farm, so we have to understand how to do this. And I'm gonna just stick with me here because I'm gonna quote one of my dear old friends. He'd say, "I'm gonna step off the page and into the margin for a second." The way we market our farms is by its very nature, by the way we go about it, is going to set us apart. But stick with me to the end of this, and we'll kind of get to it. We'll jump back into the text here for a minute. But we see so many ads, 4 to 10,000 ads a day, every single day. How do we cut through that? How do our brains are hardwired to cut through it? I mean, spam email. Half of the emails sent, 50% of all emails sent is spam. And, I don't know if you follow phishing and spoofing and spam and all of this, there's a component to the dark side of marketing called social engineering. It's what it is. It's what it's called. And it works. I mean, let me tell you right now, if it didn't work and didn't make the dark side of marketing money, they wouldn't do it. It works. And so you ask, what is social engineering? Well, I'll tell you just in a quick synopsis of it real quick. When you see an email, it's that thing that they say or do that causes you to take an action. Click a button, click a link. Man, that's social engineering. It's manipulating you, manipulating me to take an action. It's hard for an email to show up on your computer and do any damage. Computers are pretty smart these days. That email shows up in your computer, you just kind of leave it alone, delete it, no big deal. They can't get your information from that, I'm sure someday they'll figure it out, but, it's hard to do that. What they can do is try to manipulate you to take an action. Click a button, click a link, give them information. Man, when you do that, they've learned. And it can be a bad deal. But that social engineering part of it is part of that manipulation. They just cut through the clutter. They just cut through that clutter and got us to do something. And I'd like to sit here and tell you that I've never been, I'm smart enough to have never been, man, they got me one time years ago. It's that social engineering. And the bad part is it doesn't even have to be illegal. You'd think it would, but There's many cases where unethical, absolutely. Illegal, they can skirt the line in a lot of cases. But, when we jump into talking about how this impacts us, I mean, think about your day when you're in your, you're like me. I'm out driving a swath or baling. Man, I can't tell you the days I've been out there where I'll get 4 robocalls a day, and by the time I get to answer the phone, and then I mean, normally now I just hang up on them, but still 30 seconds. I have to push clutch in, slow down, or whatever I have to do. Man, it's reduced my productivity, and it makes me mad because it makes the job that we're trying to do, put the right products in front of the right people at the right time to help good people and good businesses stay successful. And, I'm going to jump over here. I want to talk about, why some of this helps our business. And I know you're going to say, oh my Lord, there's no way that this helps us. Well, I like to flip the thought processes a lot. I like to look at challenges in a different way. I mean, it just helps us solve problems. And, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but at least we're looking at it in a different way. So 4 to 10,000 ads a day we see. How do we cut through that? I think as a country, as people, we have become cynical and skeptical to marketing, which we should. Absolutely. I mean, when you have to deal with the dark side every day, all day, every day, I mean, 4 to 10,000 ads a day, geez, that's a lot. We've become cynical and skeptical. We have become reticent to connect. But when people, consumers, me, you, when we find something real that we can connect with, real people, real businesses, man, we stay loyal because we crave that connection, that loyalty, and it's real, and it can be a wonderful experience. In our other business, we don't market ourselves at all. Never have spent a dime on an advertisement. I mean, sponsor some stuff around here, or sponsor some things every once in a while to help some community organizations out from time to time, but we don't market ourselves, not at all. And I say that the only marketing I have ever done is shaking somebody's hand and talking and trying to answer real questions and solve real problems. That's all I've ever done. Never have I, advertised this business, and it's been fairly successful. But the point is, it's such a rare thing to have that real personal connection that you can pick up the phone and call me. You can't pick up the phone and call Mr. Google or, Mr. Coca-Cola. And I don't want to say there's bad companies. That's not my point. It's as you get to the point that you are so big, you lose the ability to connect on a personal level. So, by maintaining that personal connection, by making sure that, we brand our farm so we have a consistent presentation, that we have good logos, and we have we have a consistency of presentation to our customers, we're able to create a real relationship. Man, what's better than that? Now you're not marketing, you're helping. You did a little bit of marketing to get a customer. Once you get that customer, every interaction you have with that customer from the day you meet them until the day they stop working with you, the day they stop buying from you, is, man, that's marketing. And that's the real deal. Building relationships. Because that person is loyal not to a business, not to a food group. They're loyal because you have done something right. I always talk about under-promising and over-delivering. I talk about, strategies to use, asking, if you heard the last podcast or two, my super secret question that I asked that has been successful for me for years. And I mean, this question actually makes the world a better place, which is, How can I help? Man, I ask that question all the time, and it's it's great. I mean, I ask family, friends, coworkers, customers, no customers, other people. Man, it's a good thing. But going back to cutting through the clutter, the best way in the world to cut through the clutter is to build real relationships. And utilizing some technology helps, because the reality is, if we have 10 customers, we can probably handle that and deal with them every day and talk to them and maintain those lines of communication and all of those things. When we have 10,000 customers, it's difficult, but we can utilize some technology. We can utilize some things to maintain that relationship and that personal experience, that when a customer has a problem, they know they can pick up the phone or they can send an email, and they're going to get an answer from somebody who cares. And that is how we build and we fight back against the dark side of marketing. We build real. Now, there are strategies to do this, and don't get me wrong, it takes some planning. It takes a little bit, we probably have to use some technology if we're going to grow our farms to any size. We have to kind of embrace some technology. We have to understand things like Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Yelp. All of these. There are 100. We'll have a whole topic one day on digital presence for farms. But reviews are the ways customers voice their joy and their dissatisfaction both. And what we want them to voice their joys, but if they have a problem, call us, because we want them to believe, and we want them to believe because it should be real. We want to serve our customers, so when they have a problem, we take care of it. Hey, it's a pretty simple thing, man. Somebody has a problem, help them out. If you made a mistake, business owners, farmers, we make mistakes. We do. It happens. But when we do, make it right, take care of the person. Man, you turned a negative where you made a mistake. Maybe you put if you're a CSA, you put the wrong order in a bucket and somebody got mad about it. Man, here's another word that works, but only if you really mean it and you do something to fix it. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. I'm going to give you an extra box this week. And then when we have our next thing, I'm going to take care of you because I really appreciate your business. And I am sorry about the mix up. Good luck and God bless. Thank you. Right? Sincerity. Man. When you say I'm sorry, and you roll your eyes and you're walking away, that's not sincere. Sincerity, build a great business, is doing something real, being sincere. And that is how we cut through the clutter. That's how we build a business where we don't have to go to the dark side of marketing. I mean, they do it because it works, but at what cost? Man, I love having relationships with my customers and clients that they pick up the phone and call me when I see them at the restaurant or the store. I've had customers that would buy me a meal. I'd be eating out at one of the local restaurants, and one of my customers would buy my hamburger for me. Man, nothing makes you feel better than that. That you have taken care of a customer and they appreciate what you've done because you've been real, you've been sincere, you've underpromised and overdelivered, you've made them. You have worked hard to do good work for them. They appreciate it. Man, they see you out and they buy you a meal. Man, that makes you feel great. That is building a real relationship. Building a customer relationship that can tolerate the downsides when we make mistakes, because we all do. That is how we build a customer relationship that works. And, that's the secret to cutting through all this clutter, because people are cynical. People are skeptical. But when we connect with them on a real basis and we make that real connection, you don't have to cut through anymore. All the other stuff, companies are spending boatloads of money to inundate a market. we don't have to do that because we've done something real. And real is what we are, man. When we're, there are some strategies to what we share and what we don't share on a farm, as far as social media, and we'll get into that at some point. I'm sure there's strategies to this, but at the core, man, we're trying to connect with people, trying to help real people solve their problems, whether it's they want to eat better or they want to feed a better quality hay to their horse, or they're having a financial trouble and they're trying to keep, they're trying to keep hay, then they can't afford the big pretty bales of alfalfa, but they want something that's quality. They can tell you about these things and you can help them work through these problems. Man, you've built a relationship. Or maybe you don't have a product for them, but you send them. The other day I had a guy needed some hay, couldn't find what he was looking for. I didn't have what he was looking for, but you know what I did? I said, I don't know. I don't have that, but let me make a phone call. Called a guy down the road that I knew. I guess I would call him a competitor, though he's not. I don't think that way, but I guess you would call him a competitive business. But I said, you know what? Call this guy down the road here. I think he can take care of you. But next year when you need it, call me back. I would love to be able to help you and take care of you. Being able to make those connections and do that in a real way is, man, that's the way to cut through the clutter. And that's the way to build community and all these things that you hear about doing. Man, there's how to do it. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Good luck. God bless. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next week on the next one.